Auto align isn't a technique you're going to use very often, but when you do want it, it's pretty good. Here in Bridge we have 10 handheld raw images of the monorail leaving the station. I wanted these for a still image animation in a slideshow. Now we often hear this called stop motion as a technique. So we need to edit all of these images in Camera Raw identically. And while we're doing that, there's probably going to be some dust spots in that blue sky for us to fix. A fair bit of work. Well, not exactly. What I'm going to do here is to open up the first of these images into Adobe Camera Raw. I'm going to keep the edits pretty basic, but I'm going to hit the Auto button. I'm going to warm it up a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of clarity. I may drop down the exposure a little bit, maybe a little bit of vibrance. I think that's all I need to do, but I do need to look for the dust spots. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, so we need the image up probably about 100%. Let's get to the top left. Go over to the right, pick up our healing brush, and I'm going to tick the box to visualize the spots. Now there's not many on here, but there's a few. I can see one there. Not sure that's one, but we'll deal with it anyway. There's another one there. Not sure whether that's a spot or a cloud. Sometimes if I'm in doubt, I'll just take them out anyway. This looks like one, although it looks a little bit large to me. But you get the idea. Whether you've got a couple to do or 20 or 30, deal with them all. But then what we're going to do, we'll take one last look at this image. Control-0 will fit it on screen. When I'm happy with the editing that I've done, maybe I'll drop the highlights down a little more, just a little bit less on the exposure. We're all going to choose something different, but not going to open this as an object or open it in Photoshop. I'm going to click Done. Now you can see the thumbnail has taken on the changes that we've just placed within it. Let's copy those changes to the rest of the images. To do that, we need to select that image, right click, go down to Develop Settings and copy those settings. Now I'm going to hold my Shift key while clicking the first and the last of these images. So we've got the rest of the 10 images. We've got 9 of them selected. I can right click, go back down to Develop Settings, and we're going to paste the settings. Now we want all of those changes, but we also want to include the healing brush. So any of the dust spots we've dealt with in image 1 is now transferred to all the rest of the images. Let's click OK, and we'll see that done instantly for us. So I've still got 9 of those images selected, so if I hold the Control key I can add the 10th. Now what we've got to do here is to open up all of these into Photoshop and put them in layers, but we can do this very quickly. Because we've done the editing we want to do, if we go to the Tools in Bridge, we need to go down to Photoshop, and there's the command we're looking for. Now this is going to take just a minute or two, so I'm going to click to load my files into Photoshop Layers, and I'll be back when it's done. Now it would be a good idea at this point to save this stack of images on the right hand side as a Photoshop file to retain all of those layers, but now I've got them all into a layered stack, I can demonstrate just how much out of a line these images are, which when you consider they were shot handheld, you would expect them to be. But if I turn the top one off, you can see the movement. Don't look at the train so much as maybe the position of the building, where it's jumping around as I'm moving between each shot. But what we can now do, we'll have all of these turned on, is we can select all of these layers. We can use that Shift click method again, very useful. Select the top layer, hold the shift key and select the bottom one, and all of those in between will be selected also. The rest is pretty easy. If we go to the top left of the screen, we're going to go to Edit, Auto Align Layers, and all we need is the Auto setting and OK. Now it's quite important that we run this on full size images, because the one thing we're going to have to do, and what I had to do for my slideshow, was once it's complete, it has to jiggle all of the images to line them up. Now it does a pretty good job of lining them all up, but it does mean we've got some cropping to do. And there you saw that run in real time. Now I need to crop these images, but if you look carefully at the layers, you can see there's areas that I've got to make sure I crop away. There's a bit of a gap down here on the top and the left. So I've got to crop in a little bit, but if we make a mistake, no problem, we can hit Ctrl Z and have another go. I'm going to pick up my crop tool. Now because I needed this for a slideshow, let's go to the ratio here and choose the 16:9 that I would need. Then I'm going to drag in a little bit from both sides to make sure I've got all of the image in register. I'm going to move it around and find the spot that I like the best. That looks pretty good. I'm going to click done and allow that to make its crop. As soon as it does, I'm going to be looking at all of those layers down the right hand side to see if any of them show me a slither that I've missed. And a quick look tells me I think I've got them done pretty well. Now let me just show you how well this works by just turning off each of these in turn. And you can see now that the alignment of all 10 images looks pretty good. So now we may expect to have to turn all of these layers off and save them one at a time. Saving this one, turning this one on and saving that, and so on and so on. But we can speed this up. Let me turn all those back on, because we're going to go up to File, Export, and here we have a choice to export layers to files. It's asking us where we want to place these files and even gives us a chance to give them a name. Now I'm going to browse, and I think I'll just go to my desktop just for speed, and I'll just call this my layered stack. So I'll select that and OK. File name prefix, it says untitled one. To be honest, it's not important for what I want here, but I do want it as a JPEG. So I can select that. I can keep the ICC profile and I can choose the quality. And 8 is about right for the slideshows that I would make. And I would click Run and just leave Photoshop to do all of the work for me. There we have it. We've aligned 10 images and it's done a remarkable job. And in the short time I've been speaking there, as it says, it's exported all the layers to files successfully. I'll see you next time.